Hey there, welcome to day 205 of our Get Your Goals Annual Challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. We're talking about and working on our relationship goals this entire month. And today our exercise to delve more deeply into our most important relationship goal is the 7 whys exercise. Why? And we ask the question why. We first define our goal. And I make a little worksheet in my journal every time I do this exercise, and I just say, okay, what is my goal? And then I put why, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then I usually have a little space where I highlight or I do lessons learned from doing the exercise and asking the question why. And I've shared, I got this from Dean Graziosi, who it turns out it came from Toyota and their production plant, and it was part of their, which is right near and dear to my heart, process analysis and problem-solving root cause investigative process. Whenever there's a problem or a challenge or something they want to fix or improve, they ask a series of 7 whys. Why? What's the main objective? What's the main project? Why do we want it? Why? Why is this a project? Why is it important, etc.? So they ask why 7 times to get down to what's really going on. Sometimes we can solve a bigger, better problem by really identifying the problem versus just patching Band-Aids on it. I know in corporate America we did a lot of Band-Aiding of situations for speed and to be on the ball of things, but we would come to find out that we would put a lot of Band-Aids on things, and until we went back and found the root cause, the real core of the problem, the heart of the problem, we weren't really doing anything more than just putting Band-Aids on it, right? It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. If the leg is broken and you don't solve that problem, you're in for a world of hurt and a lot of trouble. So what are some of the benefits of the 7 why exercise? We've talked about this before. We've talked about the details of the 7 whys, how you do it. When in doubt, if you're not sure, if you've got questions, ask. But you can always go to the Get Up and Go private Facebook group page, and in the sidebar, you can search 7 whys or 7 why exercise, and you'll get all kinds of previous examples of when I've shared this particular tool and strategy for each different area and aspect of our life, as well as I'm sure I've done it before for relationships. So we want to look at our relationship goal, and then we want to ask ourselves, well, why is that important? And then we say why it is, and then we ask, well, why is that important? Well, why is that important? I don't explain this very well, but I think that it's pretty self-explanatory. We just ask a series of whys to get down to the heart of the matter, what really motivates us and drives us to achieve this goal or solve this problem. So what are some of the benefits of the 7 why exercise? It improves clarity. It gets us really focused on what it is that we want and why we want it. It creates and helps us to uncover the underlying issues and the underlying problems. So we're not just Band-Aiding things. It helps to strengthen communication, set long-term realistic expectations in our relationship and with respect to our goal, as well as enhancing commitment. So there's some tips for doing this and this particular exercise or any exercise. Choose the right time and place, right? If you try to do this when you're doing something else, you're not going to get as good a results as if you go somewhere, sit on a park bench or sit in your office or go to a coffee shop and sit for 5 to 10 minutes and go through this exercise and write down what pops into your head. I also found that the first thing that pops into my head is the next best right answer. And sometimes my subconscious pops an answer up that my conscious mind is trying to have me ignore. So usually if I get a whole bunch of stuff flooding into my head, I try to think about, well, what came up first, and I put that and then dig more deeply on that particular track. Because guess what? Just like roots of a plant and root cause analysis and root cause of something, there might be a lot of different roots tangling together that result or cause different situations and problems and challenges. So we want to really follow one at a time and knock them off. And sometimes if we get a big thick root first, it knocks off a whole lot of the little roots and little problems and little challenges that we're facing. So choose the right time and place. Be patient and curious, right? I love doing this exercise because when I first started doing it, I used to do a series of 5 whys. I learned that in the 80s, early 90s from one of my mentors or coaches. And they said, well, you just really get down to it by asking 5 whys. Remember, I learned this, actually, I was exposed to it from Dean Graziosi. a couple of years ago, probably 2021, I'm guessing, January of 2021, he did a training. And I didn't think, like he didn't, that asking why 2 more times would make a difference. But it made a huge difference, and it has in every time that I've added and used it now. And that's why I'm a proponent and fan of this particular tool. So be curious about it. I was curious, so I thought, well, I'll just try it and see if it makes a difference. And it totally did. It brought up stuff from like when I was in 1st and 2nd grade that I didn't even remember had ever happened. So to me, I think proving something to ourselves and using it and getting value out of it ourselves is the most convincing way to decide if something's for us or not. Avoid blaming and judgment, right? If we blame something outside of ourselves, or if we blame something else or somebody else, or judge our feelings, we're not going to get as good a results as if we just fly through the process. And finally, embrace the insights and the knowledge and the wisdom and the stuff that comes up, and be grateful for it. Even if it's a painful thing that comes up, guess what? You can look at that painful experience from when you were in 2nd grade and say, yeah, I can see why that upset a 7 or 8 year old, I guess 1st grade, 2nd grade, 7-year-old little girl. But at 61, 62, 63, should that still be bothering me? Yeah, probably not. A whole lot more has happened to me that's a lot worse and a lot more dramatic than what happened in 2nd grade. All right, so what's our action item today? Our action item is, of course, to look at your most important, and I'm saying it doesn't have to be your most important, but look at one of your relationships and ask yourself, and pick a goal for that area and say, why is it important to me? Maybe it's to spend more time with your granddaughters or your grandchildren or your kids. Maybe it's to spend more time with your significant other. Maybe it's to improve the communication with your significant other. Whatever your goal is, pick it and then ask yourself, well, why do I want that? And then you'll get an answer, and then you ask, well, why do I want that? Why is that important to me? Well, why do I want that? And all of a sudden you nail down to what's really, truly core and important to you in that particular relationship goal. And that's what we're going to do today. Any help with this? Again, ask questions, talk to one another, use the private group page, because there is a ton of information in there. This particular tool has been covered at least, my gosh, I don't even know how many times in there. Probably well over a dozen times, probably 2 dozen. That means there's that many examples of me going through this exercise. I'm not doing it today because I've done it so many other times. I'll do it next month. I'll go through and I'll share my 7 whys. I'm going to actually do my granddaughters, I think. I obviously have not done mine yet. It's part of why I'm not going to share it. But I think I'm going to do my relationship with my granddaughters, and I'll set a goal for that. And then I will ask myself a series of 7 whys to figure out why at a core value, really root cause level, is that important to me. And I invite you to do the same, because it is such a fun and powerful exercise. Have an awesome day, and I'll, of course, be with you tomorrow.